Hello everyone, I am Kiran Joshi. Hope you all are doing good. Here is the first video of Class 8 History, chapter Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation. Children, the British in India felt that they had to civilize the natives and change their customs and values. And to educate and civilize Indians, they continued to debate for many decades. As a result of that, some of the ideas of education that are now very common for us evolved in last 200 years. Through this video, we'll see what the British thought and did to civilize the native. In 1783, William Jones arrived in Calcutta as a junior judge at the Supreme Court, Calcutta, during the colonial period. He was not only an expert in law but also a linguist. Children, a linguist is a person who knows and can study many languages. So he was a linguist also. William Jones had command over many languages such as Greek, Latin, French, English, Arabic, and Persian. And at Calcutta, he learned Sanskrit language as well, Sanskrit language, grammar, and poetry through Pandits. And then started studying ancient Indian texts on several subjects such as law, philosophy, religion, politics, morality, arithmetic, medicine, etc. Jones came to know about many other British officials who had interest in the ancient English texts. For example, Henry Thomas Colebrooke and Nathaniel Halhed, who were learning about the ancient Indian heritage and Indian languages, and were translating Sanskrit and Persian works into English. Jones set up the Asiatic Society of Bengal with them and also started a journal called Asiatic Research. Jones and Colebrooke had great respect for ancient cultures of India as well as the West. They felt that in the ancient past, Indian civilization was more glorious, but gradually its glory declined. They believed that it was necessary to discover sacred and legal ancient Indian texts to understand India, because those texts could reveal the real ideas and laws of the Hindus and Muslims, and the study of those texts could become the foundation of future development in India. Therefore, Jones and Colebrooke continued to discover ancient Indian texts, to understand their meaning, to translate them, and to make them known to other people. They believed that in this way, not only the British but Indians also would learn about their own culture. And the British in this process would become the guardian and masters of the Indian culture. Many officials of East India Company agreed with the ideas of Guru and believed that instead of promoting Western learning, the British ought to promote Indian learning and set up institutions for the study of ancient Indian texts, Sanskrit and Persian literature and poetry. The officials believed that if the Hindus and Muslims, that means the natives of the country, were taught those subjects which they were familiar with and which they valued and treasured, it would be easier for the British rulers to get respect from their subjects. That means their subject means the Indians. Keeping these points in mind, Warren Hastings established the Calcutta Madrasa in 1781 to promote the study of Arabic, Persian, and Islamic law. And in 1791, the Banaras Sanskrit College was set up by Jonathan Duncan to encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts that would be useful for the administration of the country. But children, all British officials did not have the same views. Rather, many of them strongly criticized the Orientalists' vision of learning. Children, Orientalists means those having knowledge of language and culture of Asia. So, according to those British officials who were criticizing the Orientalists, uh, according to them, the knowledge of the East was full of errors and unscientific thought, and the literature of the East was non-serious and light-hearted. Therefore, putting efforts to encourage the study of Arabic and Sanskrit language and literature was useless. One of the criticists of Orientalists was James Mill. He said that the aim of British effort should not be to teach the natives what they wanted or valued. Rather, the education should be useful and practical. And for the useful and practical learning, Indians should be made familiar with the scientific and technical advances of the West, and not the poetry and sacred literature of the Orient or the East. This criticism increased during 1830s. Thomas Babington Macaulay, who was one of the most outspoken critics of Oriental learning, considered it as completely inferior to European learning. According to Macaulay, India was an uncivilized country that needed to be civilized. He declared that a single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. And so the British government should not waste public money in promoting Oriental learning, which was of no practical use. In his minute on Indian education, Macaulay recommended the teaching of English language so that Indians could read some of the finest literature of the world. The knowledge of English would enable Indians to be aware of the developments in Western science and philosophy. Thus, through teaching of English, Indians could be civilized with a change in their tastes, interests, values, and culture. Taking into consideration the recommendations of Macaulay Minute, the British government introduced the English Education Act of 1835. Through this act, English was made the medium of instruction for high education, and promotion of Oriental institutions like the Calcutta Madrasa and Banaras Sanskrit College was stopped. These institutions were referred to as temples of darkness that were falling of themselves into decay. English textbooks were produced for schools. In 1854, Sir Charles Wood, the president of the Board of Control of the company in England, sent an educational dispatch to Lord Dalhousie, the then Governor General of India. This dispatch, known as Wood's Dispatch, outlined the education policy to be followed in India and emphasized on the practical benefits of European learning system. The dispatch highlighted that the European learning would be practically beneficial for commerce. The dispatch pointed that European learning would enable Indians to recognize the advantages of the expansion of trade and commerce and understand the importance of developing the resources of the country. When Indians would be familiar with European ways of life, it would change their taste and desires, and they would start purchasing European goods. In this way, the demand for British goods would be increased. Wood's dispatch also pointed that through the European learning, Indians would become truthful and honest, and would be reliable and trustworthy civil servants for the East India Company. It criticized the literature of the East and pointed that it could not develop people as dutiful, committed to work, and skilled administrators. As per the recommendations of the Woods Dispatch, many steps were taken by the British government. Education departments of the government were set up in all the provinces to have control over the educational matters. In 1857, universities were being established in Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta along the lines of London universities. Attempts were also made to change the system of school education. That's all in this part of the chapter. Rest of the topic will be covered in the second video of the chapter. Till then, there are some questions for you to revise the topic. First question, give a brief account of William Jones. Second, why were the madrasa in Calcutta and Hindu college in Banaras established? Third question, explain Wood's Dispatch. What were the measures introduced by the British during the Wood's Dispatch? Fourth question, how would the reforms in education system help the British for their commercial purpose? Children, if you found this video helpful and wish to watch more of such content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you have any queries and comments, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you.